Hello friends, I hope you and your families are doing good and that you all are liking this series of accounting standard. Please let me know your views and suggestions in the comment section below, and also if you want any particular accounting standard first, then you can mention it. So today we are going to start with AS5, net profit or loss for the period, prior period items and changes in accounting policies. So let's start it. In AS5, its objective is first to provide uniformity in preparation and presentation of financial statements by providing requirements as to the accounting and disclosure with regard to five categories. The first category being the ordinary activities, the second one being the extraordinary items, the third one is the prior period items, the fourth one is the changes in accounting policies, and the fifth one and the last one is the changes in accounting estimates. We will look into each of these categories one by one. As per AS5, the net profit or loss for the period is mainly divided into two categories, that is ordinary activities and extraordinary activities. Both are disclosed separately and on the face of profit and loss and statement. So now first we will start with the ordinary activities. What are ordinary activities? Activities which are normally undertaken as a part of business and incidental activities are known as the ordinary activities. Also, the activities, that is the income and expense arising out of ordinary activities but which are of three main things: exceptional size, nature and incidence, should be disclosed as a separate line item in the statement of P&L. Some example of ordinary activities can be written down of inventories, disposal of financial fixed assets, disposal of long-term investment, litigation settlement, reversal of provision, or introduction of VRS for employee for reduction of staff. So here we have to keep in our mind that the disclosure requirement is separate disclosure of the nature as well as its amount. Now moving further to extraordinary items. Which are extraordinary items? Items of income or expense that arise from the events or transactions clearly distinct from that of ordinary activities of the enterprise, which you can say any activities which are not the ordinary activities can be termed as the extraordinary activities. Since they are clearly distinct, therefore they are not expected to occur frequently and are irregular. Some example of extraordinary activities can be loss due to earthquake or tsunami, attachment of property of the enterprise by the government, loss sustained by as a result of enemy action, or fire in the factory. But we have to remember that an event that is extraordinary for one enterprise may be ordinary for another enterprise. An example for this can be an insurance claim. Insurance claim, the insurance company for insurance company, it is an ordinary activity which is which is paying for the claim, whereas the company in which fire has occurred and they are claiming for insurance claim, for them it is an extraordinary activity. Hence, an event that is extraordinary for one enterprise may be ordinary for another. The separate disclosure for extraordinary item is nature and amount, like we were giving for the ordinary item also, but for extraordinary item we have to ensure that the impact on current profit or loss can be clearly perceived. This is then important point or important disclosure point for extraordinary items. Now we will consider the third point, that is the prior period items. What are prior period items? Income or expense arising in the current period as a result of omission or errors in the preparation of financial statements of prior period are called as the prior period items. But prior period items does not include normal or recurring adjustment. For example, arrears paid to worker in current year on account of revision of wages with retrospective effect will not be termed as prior period item. This example we have also seen in the video of AS4. The next thing which is not included in prior period item is changes or correction in accounting estimate, because it is dealt separately in AS5. It is not included in prior period items because change in accounting estimate is an category, separate category on which AS5 is applicable. The prior period items are also infrequent and different from changes in accounting estimate. Now we will see some example of prior period items. Some example can be omission from recording of expense due to oversight, understatement of income due to mathematical mistake, or misapplication of accounting policy, Or another example can be misinterpretation of facts. It has the separate disclosure. It requires a separate disclosure of amount and nature, and in this also we have to ensure the same disclosure requirement as that of the extraordinary item, that is ensure that the impact of current profit or loss can be perceived clearly, and also it is disclosed separately in the P&L. An important point is to be noted is the effect may be given below the line, that is after PAT, or above the line, that is before PAT. PAT means profit after taxes. Now we are moving to the fourth category of situation which is dealt in AS5, which is of changes in accounting policy. So it can be defined as a change in specific accounting principle or the method of applying those principles adopted by an enterprise in the preparation and the presentation of financial statement. So any change in the specific accounting principle or the methods of applying those principles can be termed as change in accounting policy. Here we have to remember that the change in accounting policy should be made only if it is required by the statute, or it is required by and to comply an accounting standard, or change in accounting policy leads to more appropriate presentation of financial statements. Only under these three circumstances change of accounting policy is allowed. Some example of change in accounting policy can be changes from weighted average method of valuation of inventory to FIFO method. And another example, popular example, is change from SLM, that is straight line method, to WDV method, written down value method of depreciation. In change of accounting policy, one major point is when a change is not treated as changes in accounting policy. The AS provide two major examples for it. If transaction differs substantially from earlier ones also, it is not considered as a change in accounting policy. And the another one is in case of events or transaction which have not occurred earlier, then it cannot be said to be a change in accounting policy. An example for this can be introduction of a formal retirement gratuity scheme to replace the ad hoc ex gratia payment. So if any transaction which was not occurring earlier and now it is occurring, then it cannot be termed as accounting policy, change in accounting policy. Also, if transaction is differing substantially from the earlier one, it cannot be termed as accounting policy. The disclosure requirement of this change in accounting policy are as follows. First, we have to mention the change. Then we have to calculate the impact and the resulting adjustment in the period of change. Then if the impact is not ascertainable, then we have to state such fact that the impact is not ascertainable. And if no material impact in the current period but has a material impact on later period, the fact of change in the year of change should be disclosed. So to summarize the disclosure point, we can say that changes in accounting policy together with its impact on financial statement must be included. Any change having material impact on the financial position or performance should be clearly disclosed. If in case change does not have material impact now but will be material in later periods, it is not having material impact now but will have material impact in later periods, then disclosure is required in the period in which the change is adopted. Lastly, if we have to state that the quantification of impact is not practicable, then we have to state such fact also. Now moving to the last category, that is change in accounting estimate. So what is change in accounting estimate? A change in the estimated amount of any item of financial statement is termed as change in accounting estimate. So we will first understand what is accounting estimate. Accounting estimate is an approximation of amount of an item in absence of proper means of measurement. That is, when proper means of measurement are not present, or that cannot be computed fairly, then we will approximate the amount and it will be termed as accounting estimate. Some example for accounting estimate can be depreciation, provision for taxation, provision for bad debts, provision for loss due to litigation, and provision for warranty expenses. These examples are nothing but the categories on which AS29, that is contingencies, provisional liabilities and provisional assets, are applicable. In this part, we have to remember when it is difficult to distinguish between change in accounting estimate and change in accounting policy, treat it as accounting estimate. So if there is a fight between accounting estimate and accounting policy, we have to treat the change as change in accounting estimate. Also, the second point which we have to remember is adopt same classification as was previously used. In this part, we have to also look into the matter that when such revision may be necessary. What are the changes in circumstances which will lead to revision of accounting estimate? So these can be three: in case of new information arising, in case of experience gained, and lastly, subsequent development or changes in circumstances lead to revision of accounting estimate. So, change in accounting estimate is neither a prior period item nor an extraordinary item, as it is a separate item which is dealt by accounting standard 5. Now we will look into the disclosure requirements as when there is change in accounting estimate. So again, we have to disclose the nature and the amount of change, and if not practicable to if it is not practicable to quantify the amount, then we have to disclose such fact also in the financial statements. So by this we have completed the concepts part of AS5. Now we will look into the questions part of ICAI practice manual and study material questions, that is illustrated. Let us start with ICAI practice manual questions of AS5. Omega Limited has to pay delayed cotton clearing charges over and above the negotiated price for taking delayed delivery of cotton from the supplier's godown. Up to 2015-16, the company has regularly included such charges in the valuation of closing inventory. This being in the nature of interest, company has decided to exclude it from closing inventory valuation for the year 2016-17. This would result into decrease in profit by rupees 7.60 lakhs. How would you deal with the following in the annual accounts of the company? So now in the case in hand, earlier the company was including the delayed cotton clearing charges, that is interest charges, in valuation of closing inventory. Now it wishes to exclude it from closing inventory. But as you know, if we decrease closing inventory, the profit decreases, and if we increase closing inventory, the profit increases. So here, as interest cost will not be included, the profit will be decreased by rupees 7.60 lakhs. So we have to tell in regard to AS5 what would be the criteria. As per para 29 of AS5, net profit or loss for the prior period items and changes in accounting policy, it states that a change in accounting policy should be made only if it is required by the statute for compliance with an accounting standard, or if the change would result in more appropriate presentation of the financial statements. So only if the change in accounting policy should be made only if the main criteria is we have to follow the change in accounting policy only in three circumstances, that is if it is required by statute, if it is required for the compliance with accounting standard, or if the presentation would be more appropriate, then only we can indulge into change in accounting policy. Therefore the change in method of valuation method, inventory method, is justified in view of the fact that the change is in line with the recommendations as of AS2. When we will study AS2, you will be more clear about this point, that AS2 also states that such charges, that is interest cost, must be excluded from valuation of inventory. So since it is in line with the AS2, that is valuation of inventories, it would result in more appropriate presentation of the financial statement. So the company can make a change in its accounting policy, but it will have to follow the disclosure requirement also. As per AS2, this accounting policy adopted for valuation of inventories, including the cost formulae, should be disclosed in the financial statement in notes to accounts. So this fact must be disclosed. Also, appropriate disclosure of the change and the amount by which any item in the financial statement is affected by such change is necessary as per AS1, AS2 and AS5. AS1 is for disclosure of accounting policies, AS2 is for valuation of inventories, and AS5 is this we are studying. So while following and in compliance with all these three accounting standards, it has to make the disclosure of the first, it has to mention the accounting policy it was adopting. Now since it is changing its accounting policy, the amount and nature must be disclosed. Therefore it has to give the disclosure as follows. In compliance with accounting standards issued by the SEI, delayed cotton clearing charges, which were in nature of interest, have been excluded from the valuation of closing inventory, unlike preceding years. Had the company continued the accounting practice followed earlier, the value of closing inventory as well as profit before tax would have been higher by rupees 7.60 lakhs. Now moving on to the next question, state how you will deal with the accounts of you limited for the year ended 31st March 2017 with reference to accounting standard when the company finds that the inventory sheets of 2000 of 31st March 2016 did not include 2 pages containing details of inventory worth rupees 14.5 lakh. So in this case, the company has found out that the inventory sheets of the company is not including, that is, it has excluded recording of valuation of inventories worth rupees 14.5 lakhs, and which was pertaining to the last year, that is 31st March 2016, and this the company has came to know on 31st March 2017, that is exactly 1 year after the that is in the next year accounting year. So it will be treated as per paragraph 4 of accounting standard 5, net profit or loss for the period, prior period items and changes in accounting policies, it defines as prior period items as the income or expense which arise in the current period as a result of error or omission in the presentation or and preparation of financial statement of one or more prior periods. So since it is an example of prior period items, because any income or expense which is arising in current period due to error or omission which has occurred in the preparation of financial statement of one or more prior period, it will be regarded as prior period item. So, a rectification of error in valuation of inventory is required as an prior period item, white para 4 of AS5. Rupees 14.5 lakhs must be added to the opening inventory of 1/4/2016. It is also necessary to show rupees 14.5 lakhs as prior period adjustment in the P&L account. Also, separate disclosure of this item as prior period item is required as per para 15 of AS5. So, as of now, as we are under learning just the accounting standards, when we will go to the Ind AS part, we will see that their treatment regarding prior period item is slightly, not slightly, it is completely different, because in this we are just giving the impact on the current year, but in Ind AS we have to rectify that the period in which the error or omission has occurred and also in the current year. So in that case we have to make two balance sheet, one separately for the prior period items, but in accounting standard part we just have to do three small things. That is, first we have to make a rectification of the error by adding the since the closing stock of 31st March 2016 did not include it, that is the closing stock of 2016 should be increased. Therefore, the opening stock of 31st March of 2017 must be increased. Hence, we are adding, sorry, I said it wrong. Since 31st March 2016, we have not included the 14.5 lakhs inventory. So, as on 1st of March 2016, that is the opening stock for the current year, it will increase. Hence, we are adding this 14.5 lakhs in the opening inventory of as on 1/4/2016. Then we will mention this in the P&L also as prior period adjustment. And also lastly, we will give a separate disclosure of this item as a prior period item. So by this we complete this question. Now moving further to the next question. During the course of last 3 years, the company owning and operating helicopters lost 4 helicopters. The company accountant felt that after the crash, the maintenance provision created in respect of the respective helicopters was no longer required, and proposed to write back it to the profit and loss account as prior period item. Is the company's proposed accounting treatment correct? Discuss. So in this case, the company is dealing in owning and operating of helicopters, and in during the course of last 3 years it has lost 4 helicopters, and the accountant is of the contention that after the crash the maintenance provision which they had created for that particular helicopter is no longer required, and that it proposed to write off that expense in the P&L as prior period item. So we have to now say whether the company's such contention is correct or not. The balance amount of maintenance provision written back to the P&L account no longer required due to crash of helicopter is not a prior period item because there was no error in preparation of previous period financial statement. So as we can know, at that time helicopter was there, and to make a proper maintenance provision was required, and by making such maintenance provision we have not make any mistake, hence it will not be treated as a prior period item. But since the term prior period items as defined in AS5 is refer not only to the income and refer only to the income and expense which arise in current period as a result of error or omission in the preparation of financial statement of one or more prior period. So as per para 8 of AS5, extraordinary item should be disclosed in the statement of P&L as part of the net profit or loss for the period. So as we have studied in the concept part of this video for this AS, that AS5 deals with 5 categories of the sums. The first category was of ordinary transactions. Second one was of extraordinary item. The third part was regarding the prior period items. Fourth was regarding change in accounting policy, and lastly the fifth one was regarding change in accounting estimate. So this example will not be an example of prior period item but that of extraordinary item in terms of AS5. So it will be treated as extraordinary item, and hence the disclosure requirements would be nature and amount of each of the extraordinary items should be disclosed separately in the statement of P&L in the manner which depicts the impact on the current year profit or loss that can be perceived. So the impact on the current year profit or loss can be perceived. The amount so written back, if material, should be disclosed as an extraordinary item as per AS5. So the company's contention that it can it be treated as prior period item is wrong, and that it has to consider it as extraordinary item, and each item must be disclosed separately. Now let us move on to the next question. Messrs. Dinesh and Company signed an agreement with workers for increase in wages with retrospective effect. The outflow on account of arrears was for 13-14 rupees 10 lakhs, for 14-15 rupees 12 lakhs, and for 15-16 rupees 12 lakhs again. This amount is payable in September 2016. The accountant wants to charge 22 lakhs, that is this 10 lakhs for 13-14 and this 12 lakhs for 14-15, making a total of 22 lakhs as a prior period charges in the statement of in the financial statement of 16-17 discussed. So Dinesh and Company has signed an agreement with retrospective increase in wages, and the wages, that is the additional wages, is mentioned for the 3 years. Now it wants to charge that some of the charges as prior period charges. We have to discuss the same. So let us discuss the answer first. According to AS5, net profit or loss for the period, prior period items and changes in accounting policy, the term prior period item refers only to income or expense which arise in the current period as a result of errors or omission in the preparation of financial statements of one or more prior periods. The term do not include, please underline this, the term do not include other adjustment necessitated by circumstances which, though related to prior period, are determined in the current period. Also, the full amount of wages arrears paid to the worker will be treated as an expense of current year, and it will be charged to P&L as current expenses and not as prior period expenses. So since in the concept part we have learned this, that the term, any term which is not included as adjustment in the earlier year and is arising right now in the present year, it won't be treated as prior period item. So any amount, or in the present case wages arrear paid to the worker, will be treated as expense of current year and not that of prior period expense. It may be mentioned that the additional wages is an expense arising from the ordinary activities of the company. Although abnormal in amount, such expense do not qualify to be an extraordinary item. However, as per para 12 of AS5, when items of income and expense within profit or loss from ordinary activities are of three things: size, nature, and incidence, that their disclosure is relevant to explain the performance of the enterprise for the period, the nature and amount of such items should be disclosed separately. So all this concept we have already seen in the concept part of this video. Here we have to remember the main keywords like when item of income and expense within profit or loss from ordinary activities. This is being an ordinary activity, but any item or expense, it is of such nature, such size, nature or incidence that the disclosure is relevant to explain the performance of the enterprise, then the amount and nature of such item must be disclosed separately. Now moving on to the next question. X Limited was making provisions up to 31st March 2016 for non-moving inventories based on no issues for the last 12 months. Based on the technical evaluation of the company now wants to make provision during the year 31st March 2017 in the following manner. So earlier it was making provisions for non-moving inventories based on no issues for the 12 months. Now it is changing its method. The total value of inventory is 3 crores. Provision required based on 12 months is 8 lakhs, rupees 8 lakhs. Provision required based on the technical evaluation is rupees 7.50 lakhs. So earlier the non-moving inventories were based on no issues for the last 12 months. Now it will follow the technical evaluation. So both the provisions as per no issues and as well as the technical evaluation are given to us. Now we have to say, does this amount to change in accounting policy? Is this change amounting to change in accounting policy? Also we have to state that can the company change the method of such provision? So now let us look into the answer. The basis of provisioning, whether no issues or on technical evaluation, is the basis of making estimates and cannot be considered as an accounting policy. So we have to first write that this, whether you are going for no issues or you are computing the valuation of inventories on the technical basis, it cannot be treated as an accounting policy, but it is just a measure of doing an accounting estimate. So it is a change in accounting estimate and not a change in accounting policy. As per ES5, due to uncertainties inherent in the business activity, many financial statement items cannot be measured with precision but can only be estimated. That is, only approximate value can be determined and not the exact amount can be decided upon. So the estimation process involves judgment based on the latest information available. An estimate may have to be revised if changes occur regarding the circumstances in which the estimate was obtained or as a result of new information or due to the experience gained or subsequent development. This we have already learned in the concept video. The basis of change in provisioning is a guideline and the better way of estimating the provision for non-moving inventory on account of change. Hence, it is not a change in accounting policy. Accounting policy is the valuation of inventory on cost or NRV, whichever is lower. So accounting policy, what is an accounting policy with regard to valuation of inventory? It is cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Any change of this valuation base would have been constituted as accounting policy. If the company has made any change regarding the valuation of inventory with respect to cost or NRV, whichever is lower, if that was the case, then it would have accounted as accounting change in accounting policy. Right now, in the present case, it is not a change in accounting policy, but merely a change in accounting estimate. So the company should be able to demonstrate satisfactorily that having regard to the circumstances, provision made on the basis of technical evaluation provides more satisfactory results than the provision based on 12 months issue. It has to state in its report, in the financial statement, it has to disclose this fact that previously, since it is a change in accounting estimate, it is this change, that is from no issues for 12 months to technical evaluation, it provides better satisfactory results. If that is the case, then the company can change the method of provision. So to change the method of provision, it has to demonstrate satisfactorily the circumstances that the provision made on the basis of technical evaluation provides more satisfactory results than provision based on 12 months issue. So by this, we have completed the practice manual questions of AS5. Now we will look into the study material illustration. So now let's start with the study material illustrations for AS5. Fuel surcharge is billed by the State Electricity Board at provisional rates. The final bill for the fuel surcharge is of rupees 5.30 lakhs for the period October 2008 to September 2015 has been received and paid in February 2016. However, the same was accounted for in the year 1617. A comment on the accounting treatment done in the said case. So here, the fuel surcharge is billed by at provisional rates by the state electricity board, and it is received and paid in the month of February 2016. However, the same was accounted in the next year, that is 1617. So we have to say the accounting treatment is done is right or wrong. The final bill have been paid in February 2016 should have been accounted for in the final accounts of the company for the year ended 31st March 2016. However, it seems that as a result of error or omission in the preparation of the financial statements of the prior period for the year ended 31st March 2016, this material charge has arisen in the current period, that is 31st March 2017. Therefore, it should be treated as prior period item as per para 16 of AS5. Also, as per para 19 of AS5, prior period items are normally included in the determination of net profit or loss for the current period. An alternative approach is to show such item in statement of P&L after determination of current net profit or loss. In either case, the objective is to indicate the effect of such item on the current year profit or loss. So, we have seen that this bill was raised and issued, also paid in 2016, but we have accounted it in next year due to any error or omission. So it is a prior period item. Now, in the next part, the answer states that how and where the prior period item should be stated. The A says that we have to just give the proper adjustment of prior period item. We can either write it above the line item, that is above before profit and loss account, that is before PAT, profit after tax, or after the PAT, that is below the line item. In either case, the objective is that we have to indicate the effect of such item on current year profit or loss. It may be mentioned that it is an expense arising from the ordinary course of business, although abnormal in amount and infrequent in occurrence. Such expense do not qualify to be an extraordinary item. So this is an ordinary course of business activity only, and it does not qualify to an extraordinary item. For better understanding, the fact that the power bill is accounted for at provisional rates billed by the state electricity board and final adjustment thereof is made as and when the bill is received may be mentioned in the accounting policy. So the company can also mention that it is an accounting policy that the bills power bill is accounted at provisional rate, and also that the final adjustment thereof is made as and when the bill is received. This they can mention as an accounting policy. Moving further, the next illustration 2. There was a major theft of stores valued at rupees 10 lakhs in the preceding year, which was detected during the current financial year 1617. How will you deal with this information in preparing the financial statements of R Limited for the year ended 31st March 2017? So, a theft of stores occurred on had occurred in the previous financial year, that is 1617. In the previous financial year, that is 1516, and now you have come to know about this in 1617. So how would you deal as an auditor, as an accountant? We have to state that due to major theft of stores in the preceding financial year 1516, which was detected only during the current financial year 1617, there was a overstatement of closing inventories of store in the preceding year. As we all know that if the closing value of inventory is increased, it results into profit, and therefore it will be regarded as overstatement of profit of the previous year, and that overstatement, the closing year of the previous year, will be the opening year of the current year, and so that overstatement of profit of previous year will also be brought forward to the current year. The adjustment are required to be made in the current year as prior period item. So this will be regarded as a prior period item as per AS5. According to the adjustment relating to both opening inventory of current year as well as the profit brought forward from the previous year should be disclosed separately in the P&L together with their nature and amount in the manner plus their impact on the current year profit or loss. So each and every item of prior period item should be disclosed separately, indicating their nature, their amount, and its impact on current year profit or loss. So opening inventory of current year as well as the brought forward profit from previous year should be disclosed separately. Alternatively, it may be assumed that in the preceding year, the value of inventory of stores as found out by physical verification of inventories was considered in the preparation of financial statements. In such case, only disclosure so as to theft and resulting loss is required to the notes to the account of the current year, that is 31st March 2017. So, in exam, if this question comes up, you can surely write only this paragraph and ignore this, but you should not do that. You cannot write only this paragraph, that is the alternative solution to such question, because in this part they are saying that they had not followed the books of account of the inventories valuation, but after conducting the physical verification they have done the valuation of inventory based on the basis of physical verification, and that they have accounted this 10 lakhs wala theft in it. So this answer won't be sufficient to secure your full marks. If you write both, then it is good, but you should not only write this alternative solution if such question arises in your exam. Now moving forward to the next illustration, illustration number 3. It contains 3 parts. Let us see it one by one. During the year 2016-17, a medium-sized manufacturing company wrote down its inventories to net realizable value by rupees 5 lakh. Is a separate disclosure necessary? So the answer would be, although the case under consideration does not relate to extraordinary item, but the nature and amount of such item may be relevant to the users of financial statement in understanding the financial position and performance of the enterprise and in making projections about the financial position and performance. So this item, that is written down of inventories to net realizable value of 5 lakh, since this amount of rupees 5 lakh is material, it is not an extraordinary item, but the nature and amount is such that it is material to decision making of users of financial statement. So it must be disclosed properly. That is, when item of income or expense within profit or loss from ordinary activities are of such size, nature and incidence that their disclosure is relevant to explain the performance of the enterprise for the period, the nature and amount of such item should be disclosed separately. We have already studied this in practice manual question also. So circumstances which give to separate disclosure of item of income of items of income and expense in accordance with para 12 of AS5 include written down of inventories to net realizable value as well as reversal of such written downs. So it is an example of such separate disclosure item only. So it must be given separate disclosure with that respect. Now we will look into this another question. A limited company has been including interest in the valuation of closing inventory. In 16-17, the management of the company decided to follow AS2 and accordingly interest has been excluded from the valuation. This has resulted in decrease in profit by rupees 3 lakh. Is a disclosure necessary? So it is also a preempt question. I am taking this question only because here we have to also draft the same. If so, draft the same. Due to this draft portion, I am again considering this question. So now let us look into the answer. As per AS5, a change in accounting policy can be made for many reasons. One of these is for compliance of accounting standard. The 3 reasons, if you can recall it, are if it leads to compliance with accounting standard, if it leads to more appropriate presentation of the accounting standard, and the third one is if it is required by statute. Only due to these 3 reasons you can make a change in accounting policy and not for any other reason. So in the instant case, the company has changed its accounting policy in order to confirm or comply with AS2. Therefore, a disclosure is necessary in the following lines by way of notes to the final accounts of the year 16-17. To be in conformity with accounting standard 2 on valuation of inventories issued by ICA, interest has been excluded from the valuation of closing stock, unlike preceding years. Had the same principle been followed as followed in previous year, the profit for the year and its corresponding effect on the year and on the year end results into net assets would have been higher by 3 lakhs. Net assets, here it is mentioned because the closing stock is shown in the asset side, current assets, hence it would be higher by 3 lakhs had we followed the previous accounting policy. Now we will look into the third part of this question. A company signed an agreement with employees union on 1st of September 2016 for revision of wages with retrospective effect from 30th September 2015. This would cost company an additional liability of rupees 5 lakh per annum. Is the disclosure necessary for the amount paid in 1617? It is also a similar kind of question which we have already seen in the practice manual, but since it is slightly different, we will look into it again. It is given that the revision of wages took place on 1st of September 2016 with retrospective effect from 30th September 2015. Therefore, wages payable for the half year, that is from 1st of October 2016 till 30th 31st March 2017 cannot be taken as error or omission in the preparation of financial statement, and hence this expenditure cannot be taken as a prior period item. So the decision was took on 1st of September 2016, that is 1617 period, with retrospective effect from 30th September 2015, that is 1516. So this amount which pertains to the half year from 1st of October till 31st March 2017 will not be considered as a prior period item. So the additional wage liability of rupees 7 lakh 50,000. How the 7 lakh 50,000 came? For 1 year it's 5 lakh. So 1.5 year it would be 5 lakh plus half year, that is 250, making it a total of 7 lakh 50,000 should be included in the current year wages. It may be mentioned that the additional wages is an expense arising from the ordinary activities of the company. Although abnormal in amount, such an expense does not qualify to be an extraordinary item. When item or expense within profit or loss from the ordinary activities are of such size, nature, or incidence that their disclosure is relevant to explain the performance of the enterprise for the period, the nature and amount of such items should be disclosed separately. Now moving further, while preparing its final account for the year ended 31st March 2017, Rainbow Limited created a provision for doubtful debt at 2% on trade receivable. A few weeks later, the company found that the payment from some of the major trade receivable were not forthcoming. Consequently, the company decided to increase the provision by 10% on the trade receivables as on 31st March 2017. As the accounts were still open and awaiting approval of BOD, is this to be considered as an extraordinary item or prior period item? Comment. So now in this case, a company, Rainbow Limited, had previously created a provision of rupees 2% on trade receivable, but after 31st March 2017, but before approval of BOD, it wants to increase the provision by 10% on trade receivable since major trade receivables were not forthcoming. This adjustment, can it be treated as prior period item or extraordinary item? We have to state that. So the answer would be the preparation of financial statement involves making estimates which are based on the circumstances existing at the time of financial statements being prepared. It may be necessary to revise an estimate in subsequent period if there is a change in circumstances on which estimate was based. Revision of estimate does not bring the resulting amount within the definition of either prior period item or extraordinary item. So such revision of estimate does not come into the definition of prior period item or extraordinary item. Also, the revision of estimate is a separately discussed matter as per AS5. So in the given case, Rainbow Limited has created a provision for RDD at 2% on trade receivable while preparing its financial account for the year ended 31st March 2017. Subsequently, the company has decided to increase the provision by 10%. As per AS5, this change in estimate is neither a prior period item nor an extraordinary item. However, as per para 27 of AS5, a change in accounting estimate which has a material effect in the current period should be disclosed and quantified. Okay, so this is neither a prior period item or nor an extraordinary item. It is just a change in accounting estimate, and if it has a material effect in current period, it must be disclosed and quantified. Any change in accounting estimate which is expected to have material effect in later periods should also be disclosed. So since it is having material effect in current year, it will be disclosed and quantified, and even if the accounting change a change in accounting estimate has material effect in later periods, it must also be disclosed. Now illustration 5, it is already covered in practice manual. It is just same to same copy paste of it, so I am ignoring it and moving to the last question for this accounting standard. Illustration 6. explain whether the following will constitute a change in accounting policy or not as per AS5. So we have to state whether will account to change in accounting policy or not. Introduction of formal retirement gratuity scheme by an employer in place of an ad hoc ex gratia payment to employees on retirement. As per para 31 of AS5, net profit or loss for the prior period items and change in accounting policy, the adoption of accounting policy for events or transactions that differ in substance from previously occurring events or transaction will not be considered as change in accounting policy. So we have seen this in the concepts video also, that we have seen that there were two examples in which change in accounting policy will not be considered. That is, one example of that was any event or transaction which differs in substance which was previously occurring and which is occurring now. So any new transaction which was not happening earlier and now it is undergoing this such transaction is happening, it won't be considered as change in accounting policy. Accordingly, introduction of formal retirement gratuity plan scheme by the employer in place of an ad hoc ex gratia payments to employee on retirement is not a change in accounting policy. Similarly, the second point, that is, the management has decided to pay pension to those employees who have retired after completing 5 years of service in organization. Such employees will get a pension of rupees 20,000 per month. Earlier, there was no such scheme of pension in the organization. Similarly, the adoption of new accounting policy for events or transactions which did not occur previously and that were immaterial will not be treated as accounting policy. So these are just the two examples. You can mark this question important as it is a concept part of AS5. So by this we have completed the concept as well as the questions of practice manual and SM for AS5. I hope you liked it. Please share your comments, views in the comment section below, and share this video with all your old course students and as well as your inter students. Thank you for watching.